Bottom line viewers, AC here, along with Mitch. And this is a little change of pace video. We're going to get more into betting. Mitch and I are probably the more degenerate gamblers of the group. Kev hates gambling. Kev hates gambling. He's like, oh, I don't want to tell people what to do. And we're not going to be telling you what to do. We're just going to be chatting about what we think. Obviously, the Super Bowl is probably one of the biggest betting days of the year, and we're going to get into that because not only is there the spread, the over and under, you can pretty much bet on everything. There's over 200 prop bets. Some of them are a little weird and bizarre. Some of them are straightforward. So we'll go through all of that, and it's just great for something to do when you're watching the Super Bowl, to have money on every little thing, because it is the last day to bet on football for another, what, 4 or 5 months, Mitch?
Yeah, it is. And the thing about me is I basically only bet on football. Like sometimes I'll get a little bit into hockey, sometimes a little bit into basketball, but I try and stay in the football kind of thing because that's my sport. That's what I kind of more comfortable with it. I like the way that the games are played. I feel like there's more importance put on every game, especially the Super Bowl. So I feel like it's a little bit more predictable for myself to kind of bet on games, and I feel more comfortable that way. But yeah, it's going to be fun just looking at some of these bets. I've bet myself already with real money. I know this is kind of like fake money, but we're going to give you kind of our opinions and kind of our thoughts. And then if you like our opinions, our thoughts, then yeah, sure, go out there and bet using our opinion. But yeah, definitely, Kevin, we're not out there telling you to bet.
Yeah.
It's your money.
Don't come after us. If it does lose, don't come after us.
Exactly. It's your money. You do what you want with your money, but we're going to have some fun with our imaginary money here.
And we have a big thing in Canada. It's know your limit, bet within it, right? So we're not asking you if we like a bet like a lot and we think it could be easy money, still don't bet your down payment and your mortgage and your house on it, because if you lose it, don't come calling to us, because we bet our limit and we know what's within it. So let's just start off easy, simple. I think Mitch and I have the same stance on how this game's going to play out. But basically the spread started around I think the Rams were 1 point favorites.
Rams were 1 point favorites. Yeah.
And it quickly changed to 2.5, where it sits now, where the Patriots are 2.5 favorites. I think where I'm looking at, where I bet on Sports Interaction, little free plug there. If you want to sponsor this video and videos in the future, Sports Interaction, feel free. Now you can get a -3 spread. For a bit better odds for Patriots. And obviously if you take +3 Rams, you're getting a little less. So I would say let's put the spread at 2.5, just because it's easier, because there's not going to be a tie. Mitch, what do you think? Patriots 2.5. I think we stand the same. You actually could probably do a little finesse if you're comfortable with the Patriots here. You could probably finesse that and add a bit more points if you want to get some better odds. But what do you think just right now? 2.5, Patriots are favorites.
Yeah, I'm actually really confident this year. I know when the Patriots last year played the Eagles, I wasn't as confident, even though, I'm going to stick by my team. And I thought the Eagles were a far superior team. But this year, looking at the Rams, I just don't know if they match up particularly well with the Patriots. I think the Patriots defensively, they've been showing their secondary, has been incredible. And this year, the difference between last year and this year, they actually have a defense. So it's nice that they have a defense, and kind of their aggressive style of defense, I don't think fares well for the Rams and Jared Goff, specifically on big plays on third downs. I think they can cover them with their secondary. I don't think Todd Gurley's going to be too big of an issue. And then offensively, you're looking at a team that the Patriots can they're very balanced, the best offensive line they've had in years. So I'm not really worried about that pass rush getting after Tom Brady. And the Patriots have actually averaged 32.5 points in the last 4 years in the playoffs on average. So the Rams are going to have to score to win this game. I just don't see that happening. Overall, I'm taking the Patriots here. 2.5, 3, doesn't matter. I would take the Patriots to cover the spread.
Yeah, and for a good spread bet, I'm in the same boat with you. We talked about it yesterday. I just think that if you look at what's good about the Rams offense, it has been their run game. Goff has played well in the playoffs to get it done, but I think he hasn't been going against Bill Belichick. I think that's going to be a big thing, is they're going to be able to stop the run, and we'll get into prop bets. That makes it interesting. They're going to be able to stop the run, and I think Goff is going to beat you. If Goff does beat you, it's going to be difficult, I think, as a Pats fan, but I don't think that's going to happen. So that's why I do think this could actually be a runaway. We've actually had some really good Super Bowls, obviously last year, pretty much coming down to a fumble, basically.
Yep.
Was the only way else that game's way closer than the score indicated. So we have that, and then we've had some close ones. I think this potentially could be that Denver-Seattle. Maybe not as bad, but I'm actually thinking a big New England win here. So obviously, if you want just a safe bet, I'd take the Patriots with the points. Mm-hmm. But if you kind of want to mess around, I do think the New England Patriots doing like an alternate spread at like 4.5, maybe even 5.5 might be pushing it. But the more points you give, you're probably gaining about 5-10% more on your bet, which is always nice. And if it's the last week, I always find you can kind of go for it. And you also can hedge your bets. We'll get into the prop bets, but you also can hedge your bets that way.
AC, I would probably feel comfortable with any. I know you said 4.5, 5. I think I would feel anything under 6. I'd be pretty confident in. I think once it gets to 6, 7 area, it becomes like a touchdown. So then it's a little bit different when you're going in your bets. But when I'm thinking about scores in my head, which we'll get to the over-under right here very quickly, I'm thinking like a 31-20, a 34-20 sort of game. So I'm thinking this is going to be like a 10-plus point win by the Patriots. And maybe I'm a little too confident here, but I don't know. It just seems to be going that way.
And that's a good segue, because now if we're looking at the over and under, it's interesting because it's 56.5 is the over and under. Obviously, no matter what you take, it's even money, 50-50 bet. But the way you were saying, Mitch, with the scoring, you just said that's under than 56.5. So I think they actually have the line pretty spot on. It's very tough to take the under in a Super Bowl because
it is.
No one really wants to bet an under. You don't, especially if you're not rooting for any team, you don't really want to root for no points to be scored, or at least to be under. But it is a pretty tough line because that is a lot of points. New England's defense is playing good. Also, the Rams, I still think New England can win by 10 without having to score 30. You know what I mean? So that's going to be interesting. But right off the bat, 56.5 over and under. What do you think?
Well, it was actually a lot higher, I think, when it started. I think it was around closer to 58, 59 when it started, because the Super Bowls have been going over a little bit more. And because of the preparation, the offensive game, I think we saw last year that all kind of came into play last season. This year, though, when looking at it, I think, like you said, the Patriots defense is playing well. The Rams defense is playing their best ball of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if this does go under. I predicted the score around 54 total. So if I'm going based off my thoughts in my head, I think it's going to be under. But, you know, this is a bet that I would probably likely kind of stay away from personally. I don't really like this bet. But if I were to pick it, I would go under.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because I think it's going to be under, I just stay away from it, because when you're watching the game, and obviously everyone's going to be at their Super Bowl, regardless of who you cheer for. Like I said, you don't want to be cheering for less points, and I do think the line is pretty perfect that it's tough to pick. So I would stay away from this. I'm leaning under, but I definitely am not going to bet that. If anything, I look at like maybe the first half under, and I think there's going to be more points, and we have seen this in past Super Bowls. And
what is the total there?
It's 27.5. So I'd hammer the under there. 27.5 in the first. So I guess that's 17.
And the Patriots, I know as a Patriots fan, they have never actually scored a touchdown in the first quarter of a Super Bowl.
Yeah, their most points in a first quarter was 3 points, and that was last year. So that kind of shows what you want to do. If you do kind of even want to mess around, there's another bet that I could even see, like, this is, if you're kind of cheering for the Rams, because the thing with prop bets, I find, Mitch, is it kind of depends on who you're cheering for as well. Like, you can hedge your bets, like, make a economic decision of betting some Rams bets, some Patriots bets. So, all in all, you might break even, but a lot of the time you're going to be betting of who you're cheering for. But I do kind of like maybe a money line of the Rams to be tied or leading at half. I think that'd be an interesting bet, because what we've seen with the Patriots, they've been awesome in the second half of games. Obviously, last week or 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs did come back a bit, but I think that's the Chiefs. The Rams are a dominant offense, and I do like what they've been doing, but Goff is no Mahomes, and I think Mahomes was a big reason, and some of those star players were a big reason they did come back. But an interesting thing would be a Rams money line first half. I think that'd be interesting because right now it's pretty much even money. It's funny that they're doing that. That Vegas knows that it should be pretty close first half, but then the spread kind of, it's a 2-point difference in the spread from first half to second half.
I think from what I've actually been listening to in terms of guys in Vegas is they feel like the Rams are actually the more talented team. And it feels like a lot of guys in Vegas actually are favoring the Rams, but it's because of the public. That is why the Patriots are favored, which is the kind of the sense I've gotten.
True.
Which, of course, we don't feel the same way. But in the first half, I agree. Like the traditional sense of the Patriots Super Bowls and the way they've gone, it has seemed that rather they're losing at halftime. Like 2 of the Super Bowls they've won, they were losing at halftime. Yeah. Or they're tied or it's relatively close. This year, I don't know because the Patriots in the playoffs so far have gone down the field and scored, gone down the field and scored. Chargers game, they went 3 straight times. I think Chiefs, other than that interception on the 1 yard line, they would have scored, I think, 3 straight times. So they've started a lot faster. So it's a tough bet, but I think if you're gonna go with sort of if it's good odds, good enough odds, and you feel like you're gonna lay some money down, yeah, I don't mind that.
And now let's just before we get into the individual prop bets, there's a couple team bets I like. The first one is time of first score. Is going to happen within the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds of the game or after the first 5 minutes of 36. And this is of gameplay. Right now, all the bets are going to over 5:30. Obviously, the way New England holds the ball on long drives. Obviously, the only way it's really under 5 is probably a big play. And that's maybe Rams forcing a punt and them having a big play or the Patriots having a big play. But what do you think of that? Obviously, you're Pats, and say if the Pats do get the ball first, they haven't really shown that big play, but they've shown obviously that they can march down the field. Do you think they're going to score? And obviously with Patriots, I think that might be an easy bet to say over 5:30 for the time of the first score. And that's including a field goal as well. So yeah, that makes it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, that's tough because I do feel like if the Patriots get the ball first, they're going to score.
Yeah,
so
but it could be a 6-minute drive, right?
Yeah, I would have to actually go back and look at, okay, how long was the Chiefs game? How long was the Chargers game, the first score? It's different in this game, though. I don't feel like they're going to quite take the same offensive approach of holding the ball for so long like they did against the Chiefs because that's a different animal where the Chiefs, they can score in like that.
Yeah.
And for the Patriots, I don't know. This is a tough bet. Like, this is not something personally I would bet on. If I had to, though, like, I might even go under the 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Yeah. I just from recent Super Bowl history, it seems like it starts really fast.
Yeah. It has. And another one, then, this is a good bet because this is where you can, in props that I always like to find, those like 3-4 to 1s when so the quarter of first touchdown, the first quarter only pays 1.31, but the second quarter pays 4. And what we've seen, if time of possession, there can be field goals. The first touchdown, I think you actually get pretty good value to pick second quarter at 4 to 1 rather than first. And this is a touchdown at first quarter, 1.31. 1.31 it's tough because that should a 1.31 bet to 1. And I have to say we're Canadian, so we don't use the minus and the plus ways, which I'm Mitch. What do you think about? I get what people are doing. It's the longest way that people know how to bet in the States, but I don't get it. It's way easier how we bet in Canada with like exact odds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like it's, I still barely know what the numbers mean. That's why in Canada, all our betting services are just like odds, like 2-1, right? Like, okay, if it's 1.3, $100 bet would win you 130, right?
Yeah,
It's just easier to do the math. It's crazy that the way they do it. But so that's what I'm saying.
That is interesting though. So quarter a first touchdown. So that would mean like that would mean
like a lock.
That would mean like the Rams would score their first touchdown, or like the first touchdown in the game would be like in the second quarter.
Yes, which I think is a pretty good value at 4-1, because 1.3 is almost a lock, but it doesn't seem like that much of a lock. You wouldn't think the odds would be that low.
Yeah, no, I think because Vegas does believe this is going to be a higher scoring game.
True. Yeah,
so that's why it's at 1.3. But at second quarter, again, talking about the Patriot history in Super Bowls, it seems like the first quarter is kind of like feeling each other out, and then the second quarter, the teams usually kind of explode. But yeah, I think 4-1 is pretty good. Like compared to 1, you're not going to bet on the first quarter.
No, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because that's like not a sucker bet, and you're not really getting good value. And I'm not saying you're betting 100. That's the thing with prop bets. Like you're betting smaller amounts that you kind of want to hedge your bet with. Put $5. You're going to put $5 at 4-1. That's 20 right there. That's going to pay for some of your other bets if it hits. Obviously, nothing's a guarantee. I just think 1.3, it seems like it should be higher. But like you said, Vegas, with the over and under, there should be a touchdown. If they want to reach the over, there should be a touchdown.
Exactly.
But we think it's going to be a lower scoring game. So that could be a potential, obviously, to hedge your bet there. Are there any other team ones that you're liking before we get into the players?
Ooh. I don't mind this total punts by the Patriots. Just looking at this.
What's the line?
It's 3.5.
Total punts. And you like
I like under.
Under. So only 3 punts. I guess they have long possessions.
And when you think about Super Bowls, there's a lot of tendency to go for it.
True.
So the Patriots anywhere within the 40 to 40 yard line are likely to go for it.
Yeah. And I think the Rams are obviously similar, which lends to time of possession.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's an interesting one. I was just kind of scrolling across that one.
Well, one of them was, I think on that, we saw a list of the top 20 bets. I think one of them was, will there successful 4th down conversion in a game?
Oh, I love that one. That's 100%. That's
going to go yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually the second biggest bet. People saying yes to successful 4th down. So obviously, if that's the biggest bet, the odds are probably going down. But I do think it would be a safe bet, and you're probably getting around 1.6 to 1.7, maybe 1.5, just because these teams in the last couple of weeks have been going for it. Another one that is interesting is a first turnover. Interception, obviously the favorite at 1.67, a fumble at 2.5, or no turnovers at 9. This is another one too with Goff. You have to go interceptions, but I do like the fumble, and I obviously like going somewhat with more of the long shot, not like the real long shot of no turnovers, but a fumble. Obviously, I think it's going to come obviously for the Rams. I'm not comfortable with their punt and kick returner. I think that could be an issue. What's that guy's name? He's like fairly new, but like he's in the last couple games I've watched him, he doesn't look as confident as you would like.
I also feel like
and Gurley too.
Like you would think like the no turnover would be like a pretty good bet at the odds.
Yeah.
But like usually in a Super Bowl, there's at least 1 turnover in the game.
And obviously with Aaron Donald and stuff, the fumble would be good. And but it's a decent to, you know what? Technically, you'd make money if you bet on both. You could hedge your bet that if it was a fumble and you bet fumble, but you bet interception, you'd kind of make your money back, which is always good to hedge in these situations.
Looking at the top 20 bets here, I do like the bet that there will be no overtime in the game. I'm not sure the odds on that.
It's really low. I think to say overtime, it's like 8-1.
Okay.
But we have seen, but that's another bet too. When I look at odds like that, 8-1, that's pretty decent. And we have seen, but obviously we don't think it's going to be close. So it's hard to bet against your own thinking.
Like, usually when I'm betting in this game, I know you kind of like hedge your bets. Like I'll do that somewhat, but I'll still do it to what I think is going to happen. And
that's how you can be the most profitable.
Brought up like who you're cheering for. It's more like who I think's going to win. So I'm kind of just going all. I'm more of like somebody that's just gonna go all in with what I think is gonna happen in the game. And if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. You know?
Yeah. No. Oh, true. And like we said, like your biggest bet normally is going to be, like, I think we both agree, your biggest bet is going to be against the spread. So props is just more to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
Props that you can follow
all bets.
Yeah. Like you can follow along with the game, and like you can keep track of your smaller bets, but obviously your biggest bet is probably going to be against the spread if you're doing that. Obviously I think there's going to be a lot of bets near the end of Rams money line. I think like you're going to see a lot more Rams money line bets moving forward, because people, not even obviously the Patriots haters, obviously guys that think they're going to make money because of last year, right? With it being like a 4.5, and a lot of people taking the Eagles money line and winning that way. It should be interesting. Now to the player props and tune into the end. We'll go into the weird ones, because there used to be some, like, there's some weird ones, but there used to be even weirder ones. Like I remember, like there was one. It was just like total Patriots points, or how many points, like Carmelo Anthony. This is maybe like 6 years ago. How many points over? Like who's gonna have more points? So we'll get into interesting ones like that. I think it's best probably just start. I don't really like the defensive ones. Actually, we can do this one. First sack. I think it's interesting.
Is this a player?
This is an individual player. So this is one where you kind of would hedge your bets. Aaron Donald at 3.40 is your favorite.
You know who I like here? I like Kyle Van Noy.
That's a good one. I was liking the Trey Flowers.
Okay.
The Trey Flowers, or
I don't mind Sue also. Like I feel like if the Rams are going to have if the Rams are going to have success in this game, Sue's going to have a big game. So Sue's not bad. He's the same 13.
Yeah, 13-1. And we'll have it all listed somewhere here. We'll have all of them listed. I'm gonna do some editing, maybe some
like Hightower at 29.
Yeah, like, but the one I was looking at, Michael Brocker's at 36.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, like these are the ones where it's like just put a buck down. You know what I mean? Like
Jonathan Jones is a corner, and he has better odds than
Brockers. But I guess Brockers hasn't been playing as much as of late.
And you got to think about like the Patriots with all their like different blitzes they send with like their linebackers.
Yeah,
their linebackers do get sacks.
Well, and that's the thing. Even some of the blitzes, like even Mark Barron coming off the edge, but I think he's probably going to be more in James White, like just watching James White most of the time. Yeah, so like when we look at this is one like you never really want to take. Aaron Donald at 3.4. I think that's just because he's Aaron Donald. I actually don't like that bet very much. But these are the ones that you can really have fun with. Now we're going to get into more Mitch's territory with, first we'll start off with this guy, Sony Michel. I think a lot of the Sony Michel bets are low, and I bet the over. And I think the odds are showing that, because you're getting less odds to bet the over on some of these. So we'll just start out with his rush attempts, 17.5, which that is interesting, because I do think he gets the yards, but it still depends. That's still quite a few carries.
That is,
even for Sony Michel. But the over is actually less odds at 1.83. Actually, it's even money basically at 17. I don't know how that works out. Sometimes these sports books just like take the 0.17 off you just for fun. So
see, if we're thinking about the game flow and the way we think the game is going to go, I would bet over.
Yes. Yeah, I'm leaning over, but this is one I don't like as much. We'll get into the rushing yards. I don't like this one as much as the rushing yards.
Yeah, this is definitely not a for sure, because the Patriots, they love to run with James White or Rex Burkhead. So there's going to be other carries kind of divided throughout the rest of the backfield. So it's not like the best bet, but if you're thinking about the game flow the way that we think the game's going to go, like I said, then I would probably say over.
But what's your feeling too, if we're talking, obviously we're talking rush yards now and attempts. Do you think he breaks a lot of maybe 10-yard ones that, like, obviously he doesn't need to get the carries, but he still can get over? Now we're looking at the over and under rush yards. I think it's at 74.5. Less odds to bet the over at 74.5 for Sony Michel. This is one I do like in the over because how we think the game's going to go. I do think he gets there. I'm not really worried about his rush attempts, but I do think he's going to break off at least 2 runs, 10 to 15 plus, which that's 30 yards right there in just 2 carries. So I do think he gets over at 74.5. I don't think he can get to 100. He potentially can, but I do think 74.5 over is a very decent bet.
Yeah, well, you think about it. The Patriots have been a run-first team this year. I know they're still the Patriots. They have Tom Brady. They're a run-first team. They're going to want to run the ball, even if the Rams are going to try and stop it. When you look at the Rams, I know they've been great against the run, like against the Saints, against the Cowboys. But this past year, they were like one of the worst teams, like yards per carry wise in the NFL during the regular season. So I think like the Patriots, the way their offensive line is playing, you look at the Rams defense, they're a very kind of small, fast defense. If they can get to that second level AC, then Michel can break those long runs.
Yeah.
Because like Mark Barron, Corey Littleton, these are small guys. They're not going to be holding up against Devlin and Gronk and these other guys. So it all depends on if they can win that battle. But overall, I would say probably he's probably going to get somewhere between 90 and 100 yards. I don't think he's going to go like significantly over 100 yards, but I think they'll make it like kind of a point of emphasis that they want to get him enough carries to have an impact in this game.
And this is another thing with the Patriots. You never know what their game plan is going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can think that you have an idea, and obviously for you watching all the games and knowing the team very well, you just still don't know. Like even last week, all of a sudden Burkhead's carrying on the goal line. You know what I mean? Like little things like that where, you know, we'll get into who can score a touchdown and the odds of that, which I do like that bet as well, scoring a touchdown at any point in the game. Sony Michel obviously has been a goal line guy, but then you see last week, it was Burkhead down the stretch there, which, you know, if you're betting for Michel to get a touchdown and it comes down to that, and all of a sudden they have Burkhead in, you're just like, those are the ones that really can screw you over. CJ Anderson, let's just briefly go on CJ Anderson. It's 42.5. And it
all depends on Gurley, right?
But I think he's going to be healthy, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of CJ Anderson.
Okay,
in my opinion, I think it's been a good story, but 42.5. I do think the Patriots have stopped the run pretty well, especially in the playoffs. Right? They had their trouble.
The playoffs for sure.
In the playoffs, they've been good, and I just think at the end of the day, it's the Super Bowl. I think you want the ball in Todd Gurley's hands as much as possible. I'd probably go under there, and you get a little more odds at 42.5. What do you think, just briefly, on CJ Anderson, 42.5?
It's so hard for me to really like know if Todd Gurley is going to have an impact or not. Like CJ Anderson, I will say this, has had a lot of success against the Patriots in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, like if he is the guy to carry the ball, and even if they split carries, I could see this going over.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's easily like he doesn't have to have that good of a game.
Him getting like a 65-yard game.
Yeah, because if he gets the carries, he should go over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is one I would not place until like before the game.
Yeah.
Because I need to know what Gurley's gonna be, you know?
So now let's get to Gurley. 2 different ones, because I have 2 different opinions on Gurley in this game. Okay. First, let's quickly go Todd Gurley rushing 72.5 over paced almost 2-1. Under is 1.65. I think this is going to be under, but another bet we'll talk about I think is going to be over. But right for now, I think 72 is too high rushing. I think they're going to have to pass in this one. And I think under at 72.5 yards, I believe.
Yeah, I would probably go with the under too. Too many question marks. Even though look at the odd difference.
No, I know everyone's hammering the under right now because that's the biggest odd difference in something that normally most of these bets are 50-50, right? Vegas does a pretty good job, but obviously we're seeing they set the line and everyone's betting the under to move the over. But here's the one I like though, and with the same similar situation. This is what I was saying with Todd Gurley. I like the under on the rushing yards, but total rushing and receiving 115. The over The under obviously is 115.5, but the under pays substantially less. I actually like the over 115 because I think he's gonna like Goff is gonna just do these checkdowns, and I think he's gonna break a couple, but I don't think it's gonna like change the game. I just think they get the ball in his hands enough for rushing and receiving to go over 115.
Yeah, that's not a bad bet. The Patriots have kind of struggled against receiving running backs going back a couple of years now. We saw that last year's Super Bowl. Obviously, it's a different defense, and there'll probably be more kind of attention towards Todd Gurley. So, but I do think like receiving wise, is there just a receiving number like by itself?
That is a bit further down, but obviously when we do that, we'll talk probably Gurley and we'll talk James White.
All right.
Because that's
I do actually like James White over 17.5 yards rushing.
Yeah, because he normally does have once a game where he can break, like even if he has only 4 or 5 carries, he sometimes can get that one that's like 8 yards and do that twice, right? That's
like last game,
getting pretty close.
A number of third down conversions last game.
Yeah.
Rex Burkhead, I don't think he'll probably have much of an impact in this game. I think this is going to be a heavy Michelle White game. Like if Burkhead comes in, it's going to be like goal line.
And the last of the rushing, and this is rushing and receiving combined. I like this one because I do think rushing yards, it should be Sony Michel, who's around 2-1 for most rushing yards in the game for both teams. But for most rushing and receiving yards, I think Gurley still is a good bet because you're getting almost way over 2.5 to 1 or 2.37 to 1. Sony Michel just there, 2.5. Another flyer, James White. If he does have one of these, obviously their linebackers struggle. I don't know what they're going to do with James White. Most rushing receiving, I could see James White having 100-yard plus receiving game on whatever 12 receptions or what.
I could see that as well.
So that would actually be good. You get 4.3 to 1 there.
Bringing up these quarterbacks, I like the over on both. Brady for 1 yard.
Yeah,
it's 0.5.
But they haven't been doing the QB sneak. So all he needs is one QB
one
sneak
scramble.
And that's it.
Jared Goff, I also like over 8.5. I think he'll have at least 1 or 2 scrambles for like 10 yards.
You know what? Even to be fun there, I'd even like parlay both the rushing quarterbacks because that's going to pay almost 3 to 1 or a little over 3 to 1. That'd be interesting. And that'd be a fun bet too, especially when you're with your and with your buddies, you're just run. And actually that's a very decent bet because Tom Brady, sometimes he gets space and he goes up in the pocket. Like to get 0.5, he can't lose any because it's not like in college where a sack is minus yards. No, I actually was looking at it earlier, and the over obviously for Tom Brady is at 0.5 is less odds. That's why you parlay that with a Jared Goff. We saw in what was the game 2 weeks ago? Was it the divisional matchup when Goff had that run at the end to win?
Oh yeah, Goff has some wheels, like
for sure.
And he's not a quarterback where the Patriots are gonna try and game plan to like stop him from running. Like they might almost like invite it.
True. So, and he's not going to want to make a mistake too, where he might be running more. And you only really need 3 runs of 3 yards, and the money's yours. So that's interesting.
How about Cordell Patterson 126
for most rushing and receiving? The reason why that's interesting is that's receiving yards for him to be even on the list. That could be, you know what I mean? Like if somehow, obviously, I think it's going to be more Edelman this week. And
I'm just saying, that's wild.
That's more odds than for the worst team in the NFL to win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Like that's what's crazy. Like, yeah, you're better. Yeah, that's one that you just put like a buck down to win 126. That could be interesting.
If I'm betting on this, I'm going James White.
Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. I do like the 4.3 because rushing and receiving. I do like Todd Gurley to get total above 115, but James White could have I think he could have maybe obviously you said the over for James White rushing yards. I think James White could have like a 30 and 80 type day, something like that. I think he's going to get a lot of receptions as we've seen. So that's not bad. Before we get into first touchdown, which is we can do that similar to how we did the sacks. Let's just go into, I think the passing stats are next. Because I think the best bet for the touchdown one is just to score anytime. And then also we can get into first touchdown score, which I think is always interesting as well.
That's tough.
Okay, Tom Brady, passing yards, 295. 1.67 is the over. Obviously, everyone's hammering over 300 yards, which I think we're probably going to be on the same boat. I feel like this one is a given. The under pays a bit more, but I do think he's easily going to get above 300 yards. We've seen how he does that with a lot of passes. Even though they have been running, but still, no matter what, he still sneakily goes over 300, even in games where you're like, it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it depends on how the game starts again. Like, I think looking at it, like the under is not bad at the number.
Yeah, 2.05.
Like we've seen, they're gonna put the ball in his hands. So he's probably gonna get, I would say, if I had to guess, like 320, something like that.
Yeah. No, and I think that it's a good bet for the over. You know what? A lot of these ones too that are at like the 1.67 for betting the over, you can mess around too. Like we can give a card later, but I do like, you can hedge this stuff. You know what I mean? Like to get a little more odds, obviously, because technically betting wise, the over should definitely happen. Maybe not definitely, but it's going to hit over more likely than under. If you want just like a total Tom Brady card, that would be funny, doing that with the 0.5 rush yards. Because then you're going up to like 3-1, right? On two bets that are pretty decent. So I think we're both on the same page. I do like the over there. Jared Goff, this is interesting. 1.74. Because he could have a bad game.
I would go under.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He could have a bad game and still, if the game plays out like he's going to have to throw, that he could have a bad game and still get over 280. You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of thinking.
I'm looking at this like, because Mahomes threw for 295.
True. And on some big plays too.
Let me look at Rivers. Like Rivers had a terrible game, but he threw for 331. But that was like a blowout. Like I think the game is going to be competitive enough. Like I think it's going to be a close game to the fact where like there's not going to be like free touchdowns scored in this game.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying under.
Yeah, I'd probably stay away from that. And under does pay better, right? And like you said, you kind of want to bet how you think the game's going to play out. So I just kind of have a feeling that maybe if the game does get out of the way, like McVay's still going to dial up something, even if they are losing, to at least gain some yards. So let's get into the receiving before we get into the kind of more of the touchdowns. Who's going to score a touchdown in the game?
Okay.
Let's start. Obviously, let's not go with everyone, but let's go through the big names. Let's start off with the first receptions. Let's kind of stay away from them. That's kind of hard
I'm
to
looking
tell.
at that. I'm thinking the only one kind of like that popped out to me. I don't think the first catch for Gronk will be over 11.5 yards. That's
actually not bad. That's I was kind of looking at that. I also, the James White, because he can just get 4 yards here and there. I don't really like that. So what we're talking about right now is an over and under of every player's first catch. They have a number if it's going to be under that yard or below that yard. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's a 50-50 bet that Gronk's first catch is going to be under 11.5 yards. I could agree, but sometimes those seams down the middle, right? I could see that kind of being his first pass to get like 12, 13.
Like last game, I'm thinking back to the Chiefs, and they kind of just wanted to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah. So another one then, the Gerald Everett at 8.5.
I think if he catches the ball, it's probably going to be long.
Yeah, right. And so that's why you could lose by him not getting catch. But I do think what we've seen from Gerald Everett is he's more of a down the field, and I feel like 8.5 is pretty reasonable for a tight end. So I guess those would be 2 1s. Let's stay away from the receiving because it's just
total pass receptions.
Yeah.
I think I would take the over on Edelman, White, and Gronk.
Yeah, so the over on Edelman is 6.5, and obviously it's not paying out as much because obviously most people think it's going to be over 6. I think that's safe. If there was an alternate, I would say he'd maybe even get upwards of 10 catches. I don't think he can do.
I actually did bet on the Gronk one.
Plus 3.5. Yeah, that's a good one too. And look at all, like you can just see everyone's hammering the New England stuff, right? Like if you look at all the odds, like the Cooks 4.5, I could go. I guess over is leading, but
yeah, like I think Cooks would. That's tough. Like
I could go under there, and you can get good odds there.
But yeah, it depends who they kind of resort more resources to, because we've seen that the Patriots like usually take one guy away.
Well, and that's why if
rather Woods or Cooks is going to go under.
And that's why I think if you're thinking like what you said, if Gilmore is D'ing up Robert Woods 1-on-1, I think he goes under easy. 5 catches, like 5 is a win, 6 is a loss. Yeah, like I think that's pretty reasonable.
I could see like Reynolds going over. I could see Reynolds having like 6 catches for like 80 yards.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty good odds too. He only needs 4 catches, and you get paid a little over 2 to 1. That was good. Let's see here. How about the Michelle just getting 1 catch, and it's 2 to 1?
See, he never catches the ball.
No, like, but
he could get
just one catch.
Yeah, like that's pretty good.
Especially with the Patriots trying to do something a little different. They're like obviously they think it's just going to be a run or he's going to pass block. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I think they might be like a screen there or something.
The one I always like to bet is touchdown anytime. Actually, let's start like first touchdown. I like always the first touchdown.
Okay.
So the first player to score a touchdown, we'll list all of them somewhere. So it's interesting. So Sony Michel leads the way at 6.9. This is always a good one. This is another one that you can kind of hedge. Because obviously you're getting good value with the running backs, I find. When you get a little deeper.
A little bit on every Patriot running back.
Yeah. Like Sony Michel, and then the Devlin one's huge, right?
Yeah.
What would Devlin be to score the first 46 to 1?
That's not gonna happen.
Well, I think the most popular bet is for Devlin not to score a touchdown. I don't think it must not pay that great, but it's just funny how everyone, which I actually think it would be hilarious if he did score a touchdown. Because he has actually, it seems like he's been more involved in the offense than most years. This year. Yeah. So if we're looking at this list, I think you can't go wrong. And obviously you got to think of who scores the first touchdown. I could easily see the Rams scoring the first touchdown in this game.
Okay. Who do you like? Gurley?
Yeah, you'd have to go with a running back if it's around the goal. I just feel like CJ Anderson, I don't think is good enough odds for that. I think Gurley at 7 to 1. Like you could just maybe put $10 on Michelle and Gurley, and you've kind of hedged your bet. And if anyone else happens, like a pass play or something, it's like so be it. But I think this could be something like we've seen with the Patriots. Not a lot of big touchdown plays in the playoffs. Even the Rams too. There's been a lot of goal line touchdowns for both these teams in the playoffs.
Almost like 85% of the time the Patriots are going to score a touchdown, it's going to be a power run to the left to their running back. It's going to be Sony Michel in the red zone.
So I think we're both on the same page for first touchdown. I think you're good.
I'll throw this out there. If the Rams do score, I could see it being a tight end.
Yeah, and then now you're looking
like Everett at 23 is like kind of a sneaky one, or Higbee at 18. Like I could definitely see that because they're gonna put their resources elsewhere.
True.
Those guys are gonna be 1-on-1. So
Tom Brady QB sneak, you get the yards and you get the half yard plus.
Could happen.
28 to 1. So I think we're both on the same page that both running backs. I think you get good value anyways to bet that.
Yeah.
Because like, say if you put, depending on what you're putting down, whatever, like say if you just like put $5, I'd be comfortable putting $10 on both those guys.
Say if you just put $10 on both guys.
Yeah.
Even
right?
if you win one of them, you're still winning like 50 plus more dollars than
exactly. And if you lose, like just hope you win other bets. And that's going to happen because it could be a pass play, but I think we're both in the same boat where I think that's going to be actually one of the first bets I make. I normally make my bets closer to the game so I remember them. But this is definitely one that I'm going to take a look at with both those. Let's not go last touchdown. And then to score anytime. This is always just a fun one. Obviously, you're not getting much value with the big guys, Gurley, Michelle, C.J. Anderson, Edelman, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, which I wouldn't even touch Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods. James White, I like at 1.95. He's a touchdown machine, and that's the sixth least amount of odds, which is pretty interesting that he's
Burkhead's pretty good too.
The Dorsett one is interesting. What do you think about that? The 3.45
touchdown in both playoff games.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind Brady. 8.45. Gronk is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny anytime. Like, it's funny how the odds, because obviously you have the whole game to do it.
Yeah, but
even
this
like
is
the defense is
maybe one I would go with one of the Rams tight ends there.
Yeah. Yeah, like either Everett or Higbee. Everett's a little more because I guess Higbee plays more around the goal line, right, than Everett. Everett's more of a receiving tight end.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I think that one's just kind of fun. Obviously, I don't really like to bet like the main guys because you're not getting I hate betting stuff that's like 1.5, especially if it's touchdown anytime.
I don't even really bet unless it's close to at least 2.
No, I agree. So that's why I think on this, I think we're both on James White. You like Burkhead. I think we both like just Dorsett 2 at 3.45. And these are good ones too. Where
AC, you could also do first touchdown score by team, like if you want to bet on Michelle and Gurley.
True.
Well.
Yeah. Because you could say because Sony Michel's if you think Sony Michel, is gonna score the first touchdown, you might as well parlay it with score touchdown anytime. You know what I mean? It's like you're just increasing your odds, and you're going to lose no matter what if he doesn't score the first touchdown. But you're going to win. You're going to win 2 bets if he does.
Yeah, you're going to win bigger. Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to the big one, which is my favorite one to bet on. MVP. My favorite one to bet on, and I have to tell a quick story. Super Bowl, Patriots versus Seahawks. Yes, Brady was great down the stretch. I still think I'll go to my grave. Julian Edelman was the MVP of that game, 100%.
He probably
I was so pissed. I bet him to win MVP. I don't really normally like betting the quarterbacks because I think it's, I think they should win. But I bet Edelman, not at 16. I think he was more about 10-1. But I bet like $20 on it, and I thought he got robbed of that MVP, and it still pisses me off.
If you think about it, he had the 2 biggest plays of the game.
Yeah, and his numbers were still decent, and we've seen receivers. We've seen receivers win because of those big plays before. And Tom Brady's numbers weren't that great. It was just because he did so well in the fourth quarter.
He had 4 touchdowns and like 300 plus yards. But I think Edelman had like around 10 catches for 100 something and the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, like I just thought that seemed like but obviously I'm still bitter about that. It's
that I love is Gronk.
Yeah, but I don't like it's just so but yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah.
But if this is his last game, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Same as James White.
Yeah, James White's almost due. I feel like Gronk, James White might get it if he has a good game towards touchdown.
James White easily could have been MVP in Super Bowl 51.
For sure. Yeah, the Tom Brady actually, you know what? It's the Tom Brady one's still not bad.
No, I know. Yeah.
Right? Because
that's one I would parlay. I would put that on somehow.
You know what though? I guess if I'm gonna say like if the Rams do win, somehow they do win. Yeah, it's definitely Goff or Gurley.
I'm going Gurley.
Yeah. But then again, too, I would love. Here's just like a random one. Is like Robert Woods should be way higher, but like when there's like these random wins where like the underdog, obviously Foles last year, but that was kind of a different type of game. You know,
Yeah.
when it's like, say if the Rams did win and it was like 24-20 or something like that, and Robert Woods or like, you know what I mean? Like there's one player that like
2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but I guess it's different now because I remember like back in the day, like receivers and some guys would win it with like, you know, like Santonio Holmes, right? Didn't he win?
Did he win that?
I'm trying to think. Sorry, quickly.
I don't think he did.
I feel like there was like random receivers.
Deion Branch did.
Yeah, and like what were his numbers?
I think Hines Ward might have.
Here, let's quickly check this.
Of course, there was Malcolm Smith.
Yeah, no, that was
oh my God.
That was just because the pick 6, right?
That was like a team award.
No, I guess you're right. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, Santonio Holmes did win.
Oh, he did.
That was
okay.
the big catch, and then Hines Ward actually both times the Steelers won.
Hey, yeah, I knew Hines Ward won. I didn't.
Yeah,
know.
the Deion Branch and yeah. So the way it seems, you never know. Like if Aaron Donald is a freak too, that might be, but it's still his odds aren't good enough to bet a defensive player. 15-1 maybe. I might even just for fun, I might go Edelman again.
That's also a tough one because you know what? Edelman's not a bad bet because of all the publicity around him right now about like, oh, he's Hall of Fame, he's clutch, everything.
Yeah.
So like that could be, see, the thing about MVP is a lot of it's politics too.
True.
Like they're not going to like, even if Sue has like 3 sacks, they might not give it to him.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you kind of defensively besides Von Miller in that one game because he was so dominant, but that was still kind of more of a
and that was also like a playoff MVP too, because of how good he was the whole playoff.
Yeah. But then it's weird because then like Dexter Jackson has 1 pick 6, Malcolm Smith has a pick 6, and then they're Super Bowl MVPs because the game there was no other stats that stood out. Okay, so that's basically we'll have what we were picking on the right or the left. I haven't decided yet. But now it's my favorite part are the random ones.
Right. I haven't even seen these yet.
Let's start off. My favorite one to start off with is National Anthem. 105
Who's
seconds.
Singing it?
Oh, so it's Gladys Knight. So like an old Atlanta soul singer type thing. So I think she's gonna be holding a ton of notes. Yeah. Because you know what? Last year, I think it was Lady Gaga, and everyone actually was saying over, and it was actually under last year.
Yeah.
But Gladys Knight, I think she's more of like a soul singer. I do like betting the over there. The
under is like way better odds.
Yeah, but I just think that's why I think everyone's feeling the same way as I do. It's still like, that's the thing. 1.63, it's tough in prop
like
bets,
honestly,
right?
Like I would just bet over or under just because. Like,
yeah.
I have no actual knowledge of how somebody's going to sing a national anthem.
No.
Might as well just bet on the better odds.
Yeah, but if the over, it should hit. I just go like over, and then the best thing to do is like, then it's like go heads or tails. Like what's going to call? Like that's always a good one.
Well, if it's Slater, it's heads.
Is it? But they're the away team too. So they would call.
Yep.
But this is
but it depends on what the coin hits.
Yeah,
like, he's gonna call heads, but it depends like
this is almost like a guarantee is who will be shown first during the anthem, Tom Brady or Jared Goff. I'd like put a lot of money on Tom Brady. Yeah. Like 1.63. They're obviously going to show him first.
I think Sean McVay has a higher chance of being shown than Jared Goff.
No, I know, but this bet is just Tom Brady, Jared Goff.
I see that, yeah.
But then it's like who would be shown first, and then the other one's like Bill Belichick, McVay. McVay might not be bad at 1.95. Mm-hmm. But these are kind of more fun ones that they're done right then. Coin toss winner wins the game. So that means that doesn't matter. That's like winning the toss. So that means if Pats did, they defer, but that's still they won the game.
Yeah.
So these ones are all random ones, but I always find them interesting. How about this? Will Sean McVay be tackled to the ground by his get back coach Ted Rath during the game? 17-1. You can't even bet no.
I know.
Yeah.
It would be like minus.
Some other jokes ones. The first song performed by Maroon 5.
I was thinking, okay.
And they're good odds. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably going to be one. I would actually bet Sugar at 6.5. I don't know. Moves like Jagger. Like, you got to think they're going to. Yeah.
It could also be like a new one, though. Like Girls Like You.
No, but they're on a big stage. You have to think a lot of people don't know who they are. That's why they normally go with like something that everyone knows them by. And that's why Move Like Jagger at 7.0 is pretty decent. Because I think those first two ones, I don't really know what the song is. I just know Sugar and Moves Like Jagger.
They're their older songs. Okay. They're like their first two hits.
But are they like bangers? I think you got to start off with like.
They're like 2004, like.
Yeah, so I think Moves Like Jagger. That's actually 7-1. Not a bad.
Actually, Animals too. It's hard. Like they don't have a song that kind of sticks out as like a first song. So, yeah, I like any of the sevens.
Yeah,
honestly,
for sure. Because then the other ones that I kind of know are slower.
Yeah,
like then you'd think they'd
like
start.
Payphone doesn't make sense. I don't even know if they'll play that song. Don't want to know. I can't even remember.
Yeah, I think that's like more slower.
Maps. No, that's not. Like She Will Be Loved definitely is not going first.
No.
This Love. Maybe, but probably not.
If anyone wants to help us out in the comments below, if anyone knows anyone that's like a manager or friends of family of Maroon 5, let us know what the first track
I'm thinking Animals or Moves Like Jagger. I'm thinking one of those two.
Yeah. I actually put some on. It's always fun to do that. I actually don't even really like watching the halftime show, to be honest. I think it's too long. It's entertaining, I guess, but okay, so obviously Tom Brady's not going to retire, but this is the one I actually do like. Well, on the broadcast post game, will Gronk announce his retirement? If they win, I actually do like this bet. I do like this bet, man.
He hasn't said anything.
Yeah,
but it's not a bad bet. It's pretty good bet.
Like 5-1, man. He's old. Like if he wins it, like he'll be going on the sunset as a champ again. Like obviously Tom Brady already said no. He hasn't said no, but he did answer one of the questions being like, "Oh, I'm just like weighing my options. You never know, whatever." He didn't seem very confident when people asked him, "Are you going to retire?" Obviously, you don't really need to talk about it right now. But I do like 5-1 for Gronk to announce his retirement post game.
You know what? He's not even up there, but Devin McCourty has talked about he might retire.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good bet if you could find it.
And obviously I always like the color of the Gatorade shower.
I think blue is the best bet.
Blue is a good bet, but I think 2 years ago it was clear on Belichick.
I think so. It's rather going to be clear or blue because I think blue is Super Bowl 49 against the Seahawks. But also you have to think if the Rams do win, they have blue color as
yellow.
Well.
They use
think it's going to be yellow?
It's tough, man.
See, they have blue in their colors as well. So like I'm just
thinking. That's what they normally do. Yeah. So blue actually would be a safe bet, either or. But I'm pretty sure Belichick probably like tells his players, like, I don't want to be dumped with sticky shit. Just
it might be clear.
Like get the water bucket.
Yeah.
Because I think, and actually 1 year it was like no bet because they couldn't see. No one knew if it happened or not. And another auto one for the last one. Will Trump congratulate winners via Twitter? If it's the Patriots, it's 100% yes. I think he does it. So
if it's the Rams, though,
it's interesting.
I don't think so.
But that's the thing. So, but at 1.3, you just I almost could like just hedge that with something else, and you can get almost 2-1 on 2 locks. You know what I mean? Because I do think that's a pretty big lock. Because he congratulated them in the AFC Championship. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna do it. That's about it. We'll have you'll be able to follow along. I'll have all the stuff on the side of what we do say, and we'll have the odds. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys. The Super Bowl is the best. It was a little different last year. It's going to be nice to going back as like a spectator because last year was a little stressful. So it's nice to be betting. And in the comments, what are you guys doing for the Super Bowl? What games do you guys play? Do you do the squares wherever you go? You play the squares?
Oh, the squares? I think I've only done it like once or twice.
Yeah, the squares are awesome. I've been doing the squares along most parties I go to, at least the squares. I think it's a fun way. And it's funny because the squares, the last 2 years have been kind of screwed up because the Eagles went for 2, I think, or no, last year was fine. The year before was fine. But like, remember the years where it was like a safety to start the game?
Yeah.
Twice? It's like that screws up the squares because normally in the first quarter you want like a 0-3, 7-3, whatever. With a 2, it just screws up everything, like the way like it should be going down. Yeah, Mitch, any last words?
No, I'm looking forward to it. Good luck with your bets. You use your money wisely. Hopefully you can take some of our advice and use it. But I'm looking forward to the game. It's going to be a great game. Let's go, Pats.
Yeah, and feel free. We'll answer questions. If you have other prop bets, feel free in the comments to ask us anything, and we'll get back to you of how we feel about odds. And even post your bets. That'd be interesting to see what you guys are doing. I always like looking at parlays. Individual bets are fun. Parlays, especially like this, I think could be a bit more fun because of the odds in some of these things where it's like, if you're betting something that's 1.6, you have to parlay it. What's the point of winning only 60% of your bet, right? So put it in the comments below. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View. It's the last week. Obviously, we'll see you on the recap Sunday. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
All right. Peace.